All right, so Wednesday, 12/16, July 21st. So we are going to talk again about the Mike Ferry Superstar Retreat, which was last week. So Monday, we kind of opened it up to everybody to hear what your big takeaways were. What were some of the really great things that you heard? What were some of the main takeaways that you were going to implement in your business? We're talking about that on coaching calls. So a lot of fun stuff. The participation's been great. Love hearing all the wonderful things that you all have and some of the things that you're going to implement moving forward. So what I decided to do for today was give you my biggest takeaways from the event and some ideas that might be able to help you moving forward. Okay, so that's the basis of today. If at any point, if you have any questions, feel free to put in the chat box, or you can always unmute yourself and ask comments, feedback, anything along those lines. Happy to do that. So let's jump into this because I got a lot. So first things first, just so you kind of know in terms of all the different notes that I took, during the retreats, I am like a court reporter at a trial case, right? I am that lady, just that lady or guy that's just typing notes of everything everyone says, right? They're just typing away. That's me, okay? I am typing as fast as my little fat fingers can go, okay? And so at the end, I'm not really paying too much attention to all the great things that are being said. I hear a couple things, but I'm just typing, right? So I ended up with I type all my notes out on a Google Doc as Mike is talking, or Ron or Ira, whoever's talking. I ended up with 26 pages on a Google Doc worth of notes. Okay, so pretty cool stuff. So I had a lot to go through, which was kind of funny in that I probably, other than Neil, because Neil knows the Mike Ferry system better than anybody, but other than Neil, I would venture to say that I know the Mike Ferry system better than anyone else within our groups. And yet it was funny that I ended up with 26 pages of notes and some of you ended up with a lot less. But I guess that's a topic for another day. All right. But let's go ahead and jump into this. So my biggest takeaways, I kind of broke my biggest takeaways down into 5 categories. Okay. My biggest takeaways broke down to 5 categories. And those 5 categories were skills, market, service, attitude/mindset, and prospecting. Those were the 5 categories when I was going through my notes that kind of really stood out to me, was something that had to do in one of those 5 categories. So we're going to kind of run through these. None of them are in any particular order of importance because everyone hears things different ways. Everyone has different level of importance on what was said. So I'm just going to go through each of these 5 categories and what the main takeaways were and what I think you can use moving forward no matter where you're at in your business. So let's jump into this. So the first thing that really jumped out to me about the retreat, the one thing that really jumped out to me that I heard over and over and over again was role play and practice. Okay, I felt like I heard that over and over and over again. So what I did is I went through my notes, and because it's on a Google Doc, you can do that Control F and find, and it'll tell you how many times it shows up. Well, in my notes, role play and practice was mentioned 25 times, which means throughout that 4 days, 25 times somebody, whether it was Mike, Ira, Ron, or one of the people giving the blueprints, somebody mentioned role play and practice 25 times over that 4-day period. So it was certainly driven home the importance of role play and practice. But a couple things that really stood out to me in regards to that is, excuse me, man. You know, Mike's talking about role play practice, skills, things along those lines. And he asked a really great question because some of you have had phenomenal 2020s and are having phenomenal 2021s. And he asked the question, are your skills improving as fast as the economy is improving or as fast as the interest rates came down? So the market's going up, prices are going up, economy is improving, interest rates are going down. Are you improving your skills at that rate? It's just kind of an interesting thing. And he mentioned that some of you would be retired if you improved your skills at that particular rate. Okay. He was talking about the skills of knowing what to say and how to say it. Okay. You can't devalue the point of knowing what to say and how to say it and the importance of that. But what I really took away from this is how many other people say this, and we've got to get it into our head. So, for example, he was talking about working on the scripts. Actually, it was Ron who said this. And Ron used the Denzel Washington quote when Denzel said, "If it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. I follow the script." So there's Denzel Washington. He's had a pretty good life for himself, makes 20 million or whatever he does per movie, and he follows a script. Talked about Jay Leno doing stand-up comedy, and before he goes out there, someone puts down the scripts of all the jokes all along the stage, right? So when Jay Leno's walking around, he's looking down and says joke 1, and then he reads the joke, and then he walks around here and it says joke 2. Now, Jay Leno gets paid $500,000 a night for doing stand-up comedy in Las Vegas. That's pretty good. And he's just reading the scripts in front of him. He's reading the jokes. So it was interesting how he's talking about one of the most successful, highest paid actors tells you that he follows a script. And one of the most successful, highest paid comedians goes out there and follows a script. And then he talked about how when you go to see a doctor, what does a doctor have when you go there? They have a chart with the page, and they're just asking you questions. This, this, this. And they're just writing it down on this page. They're just reading it right to you. And yet these are people that we pay tons of money to, and all they do is they have a script in front of them and they're just doing it. It was amazing how many times was pointed out throughout that retreat of all these different professions, different people that follow a script and get paid a boatload of money, and yet we continue to have this hang up about learning the scripts and learning what to say and how to say it. And it has to do with the fact that we're an independent contractor. You're an independent contractor, so I don't have to say it if I don't want to. If I don't like it, I won't say it. And I wrote this down. This was one of the great lines. He said, if you rip off the independent contractor label and remove the ego that comes with it and submit to learning more skills, you will make more money. It's that independent contractor ego that we have. I don't have to do it if I don't want to. We have to remove that and treat this like a real business, right? He talked about learning the scripts. He says, everybody says they want to make more money. Then why don't you do what you're supposed to do? Everybody says they want to make more money. Then why don't you do what you're supposed to do? I want you to write this down. Okay. This is a really important thought. Some of you, I'm going to extremely upset right now. It's not my intention to upset you, but I'm going to do it. The biggest lie I get as a coach from a real estate agent, not all of you, okay? This is not the most common lie. The biggest lie I get from real estate agents as a coach is how much they care about their family. Is how much they care about their family. Why is that? Well, this is kind of how a conversation goes. Tell me your goals. Oh, you know what? I want my goals because I want to do this for my kids. Give your kids an example. Oh, so you love your kids. I love my kids. You would do anything for your kids. I would do anything for my kids. There's nothing in this world I wouldn't do for my kids. Okay, so like, for example, I imagine you don't want your kids to go to college and have to deal with this student debt problem that's just prisoning so many kids with hundreds of thousands of debt. You don't want your kids to do that, right? No, because you would do anything for your kids, right? Well, you have a way to do that, but you won't do it. So what you're telling me is you'll do anything for your kids except call everybody you know in your cell phone and ask them if they know someone who's looking to buy or sell real estate. That you won't do for your kids. You'll do anything for your kids except learn what to say and how to say it by practicing 30 minutes to an hour a day. You'll do anything for them except that. It's one of the biggest lies we tell, is how much we care about our family. I'll do anything for my wife. I'll do anything for her. She's my heart and soul. She's the whole reason for being. I would do anything for her. Okay. Does your wife work? Yeah, she works. Does she like her job? Oh, she hates it. She has to get up every morning. She goes to the office. She hates it. Oh, okay. Well, why does she still go to work? Well, we need the money. Okay. How much does your wife make? Well, she makes $80,000 a year. Okay, and you need the 80,000. Yeah. And you make how much per deal? Well, I make 15,000. Okay. So you have to make 6 deals, 5 or 6 deals to cover your wife's 80,000. That's 1 deal every 2 months. And all you have to do that is make an extra 25, 30 contacts a week, but you won't do it. So you will do anything for your wife except make an additional 25 to 30 contacts a week so she doesn't have to go to the job that she hates. One of the biggest lies we tell. It's how much we care about our families, but we won't do the little things like learn what to say and how to say it. We won't do the little things like learn how to do a listing presentation and learn your tonality. One of the biggest lies we get from coaching. Now, some of you do that. Some of you use your family as like, I would do anything for my kids. And then you use that and you utilize that to go make more money. Hal Swayze is one of the greatest examples of that. Hal, you do anything for your kids and your family? Absolutely. And my goal is to take them on a 6-month trip around the world. Okay, well, to do that, you got to do X, 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 X. And he did it. And this was like 10, 15 years ago. Took his family 6 months around the world. They went to like 15 or 16 different countries for 6 months. But we say we want to make more money, but we won't do what we're supposed to do with the skills. We won't role play. We won't practice. Okay. We won't do those different things. He put down here, this was one of the great points. The best are getting better and the weak are getting weaker. This was brought up multiple times about the best getting better. The greats constantly working, the greats constantly learning. Lou Holtz, one of my favorite quotes of all time, says you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're not staying the same. So if you are not role playing and practicing at a really high level, you're not just staying the same, you're getting worse because the gap between the higher producers and the lower producers is getting bigger in our marketplace. Mike mentioned it. We've talked about this many times before. And it starts with taking your job seriously enough to practice, to role play at a really high level. I mentioned this on Monday. Karen Myatt, who's in our Marietta office, one of our very own agents, units wise is one of the highest producing agents in the entire MLS in terms of units. And she made a commitment that she has to role play every day at 8 a.m. Okay, so if she's already here and she made a commitment to practice more, how are you going to compete with an agent like that if you don't say, well, if she's practicing 30 minutes a day, I should do an hour? How are you going to do that? It's all about learning the skills. Okay. But the question I wrote down here is identify the skills that you have to work on and then work on them. Because some of you already have certain skills down, but you need to work on some other skills. What skills do you need to work on? Okay. Wrote down here, working on skills is, Mike had mentioned this and we talk about this all the time. He says, do sellers ever ask you questions? Do you give them a precise, honest answer or do you hem and haw throughout the process? So he used the words hem and haw. You hear me all the time say, how many times do you say Because the 2 letters that will destroy your business faster than any other letters in the alphabet are U and M. Seller asks you a question, will you cut your commission? It's over. Next, thanks for playing. But if you don't have the skills of learning what to say and how to say it, you will say, that's not what you get paid for. That's not what you get paid for. Wrote down here the skills of being able to listen. And he talked about watch your prospect closely. Both verbal and physical signs will tell you what they want to do next. They exude buying signals most of the time, and some of us miss them because we're not listening or watching. We just keep talking. They walk in, or you walk in, and you could have a chance to do a 1-minute presentation, but you just keep going. Do you absolutely have to sell your house? Yeah. You want me to take the listing for you? Yeah, great. All you need to do is sign the contract. But they say yes, yes, yes. And you go, okay, great. Well, one of the 3 things happened tonight. Like, well, you just missed an opportunity there. You're going through the presentation. Does that make sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so what price would you like to list at? $925. I agree. Sign, go, done, finish. They're telling you all the time, but we miss it because we're not paying attention, we're not listening. And that comes because we don't know what to say next. So we're not listening because it's like, okay, well, they're going to say this, and the next line in the script is this. Or you don't know the script at all. And so now you're really freaking out because you're not even thinking about what the next line of the script is. You're just thinking about, well, what do I say next? Because you're winging it. Can't do that stuff. Okay. The importance of knowing your skills, role play and practice. This was a great point I wrote down here. He asked the audience, have you ever been involved in sports? Most people at some capacity have been involved in sports, young, older, or some sort of dance, some sort of, whatever routine where you're involved with a team. Did you practice? Yeah. If you told the coach you weren't going to practice, would they keep you on the team? No. And even if they did, would you get a lot of playing time? No. Sports practices, singers practice, actors practice, people practice. Or we think, real estate. Here is one of the, this is the key, okay? And then we'll get off the skills here in a second. This was the point that I want everybody to get driven home. This is the point. This is the one. Owning real estate is the most valuable asset an individual can have. Right? We can mostly all agree with that. Almost every single person, their most valuable asset is their real estate. And we are responsible for helping them with that asset. So we're responsible for helping someone with their most valuable asset. Don't you think we owe it to them to learn the skills to help them with their most valuable asset? We're not selling pens. All right. We're not selling paper. We're not selling shoes. I mean, those are all important, but we're selling their biggest, most valuable asset. For the love of God, like, don't you think you owe it to these people with their most valuable asset to learn the skills of what to say and how to say it? To learn the skills of being a good presenter? To learning the skills of being able how to share information and articulate it very well?
Yes. We expect a doctor to know what he's doing, so we should as well.
Well, exactly. But here's the biggest, here's why we don't. Here's why we don't. Because we as real estate agents don't hold ourselves up to the standard and don't hold ourselves in the same world as doctors, attorneys, accountants, and financial planners. We don't do it. Isn't that amazing? We don't. Go ahead, Jamila.
And then the public doesn't see us as that. If we
and that's the NAR's fault and our fault. But that's part of the gig. It's part of NAR's fault because NAR doesn't have any requirements for people to hold a real estate license, other than you can't kill somebody. Okay, don't kill anybody. Keep breathing. You can have your license. Okay, them be the rules. So you only do real estate super duper part-time, no problem. Keep your license. But it's also our fault because we show up in the public saying we're a real estate agent and we're going to open houses with shorts and a t-shirt on. Well, we're cool. We're hip. No, you're a loser. It's hot outside. Okay, so what? Go work inside with an air-conditioned office doing customer service then, which you probably won't be very good at. So it's our fault because we don't hold ourselves to that standard. Doctors hold themselves to that standard. Attorneys hold themselves to that standard. Accountants hold themselves to that standard. We don't. Mike talked about this on the skills of asking questions. Doctors, attorneys, and accountants ask a lot of questions. We as real estate people talk because we think we have to share our value. A doctor doesn't think they have to share their value. They know you're coming to see them. You already think they're valuable. They know that. Attorneys, same thing. They look at you like you need me. So I'm going to ask questions so I can help you. I'm not going to tell you about how great I am. Doctors aren't going to go, hey, you see that? That's where I went to medical school. And this is where I went to undergrad and I was a part of this. They have all these things on the wall, but they don't ever tell you about them. You go in there, the doctor says, okay, great. Tell me about your injury. Oh, I hurt my shoulder. Okay, great. And then they ask you a bunch of questions that have nothing to do with your shoulder. Okay. Oh, well, have you done any, running exercises recently? What does that have to do with my shoulder? Have you changed your diet recently? Well, what does that have to do with my shoulder? But they're asking questions because they have to pre-qualify. They know the skill of asking questions and they're going to go through the script that they have. And if you don't like it, you can leave. I've never once seen a doctor say, oh, okay, no problem. Well, you know what, since you don't want to answer these questions, nope, don't worry. We'll do it the way you want to do it. You want to know why I know doctors don't do that? Because I've tried. Okay. I've been to doctors before with injuries and doc, I already know what the problem is. Do this. And they look at me like, you can go. And I still have to follow the procedure. We don't look at ourselves that way. The skills, we have to commit to learning the skills. Okay, that is one of the biggest absolute takeaways we got from this past week was learning the skills, knowing what to say, how to say it. Okay. Wrote down here, Ron Cronin said, are you making more money now because of your skills or because of the condition of the market? Because of the fact that the prices have gotten so high, because of the fact there's more transactions than there were last year. Are you making more money because your skills have improved or just because there's just generally more opportunity? Well, I wrote down here, the market in some cases is leveling a little bit and slowing down in terms of number of transactions. So if you were making more money simply because of the condition of the market and not because of your skills, well, what's going to happen in the next few months? Might have yourself a little bit of a problem. So in wrapping up skills, I wrote down here, you have to put together a skill development plan. What are the skills you need to work on? And what are you going to do to work on those skills? Okay. What are the skills you need to work on and what are you going to do to work on those skills? But you have to do it every day. Role play, practice, record your practice, record your listing presentation practice, record a live listing presentation. It's the key. Key. All right. The second big thing that was talked about a number of times was the market in general. That's always one of the big things that Mike talks about in the market. And there were two real main thoughts that I took away from the market. And he said, it's not a new era of real estate. It's not a period of disruption. It's not normal or abnormal. It's simply today. Okay. What that means is that we hear about the market all the time. Oh, it's so tough, for the buyers. It's so tough, to get them into escrow, and it's competitive to get listings, and it's COVID, and it's this and that. And last year it was elections, and it was all these other different things, all this other different stuff. This is all this technology, right? How do we adapt to this? It's not a new era of real estate. There's not a disruption. It's not normal, abnormal. It's just simply today. Today is Wednesday. I'd forget for that for a second. Today is Wednesday. This is just a cycle of life continuously going on. Yes, there's always been new technology. And yes, the technology gets more and more advanced, but that's just the way it's always been. Yes, prices are higher. Well, prices have been higher before. Has it been this bad before of, so many bidding above asking price? No, probably not. But we've dealt with multiple offers, especially in Southern California, for a decade. So that's not new. Oh, it's competitive against trying to get listings. Well, that's not new. You think just today people are, cutting commissions? No, it's been going on forever. It's just simply today. We have to change the mindset on the market that this is just part of the gig. And he wrote down here, the one thing we know about real estate is that the game is always on. Are you a part of the game? It was funny because my wife is not in real estate. And so she was talking about, we were having this discussion the other day about unemployment benefits, things like that. And, some of these other industries that went through all that. And she said, did that ever really go through a lot with real estate agents? And I said, no, because real estate in California, and some of you might be from some different states, but in California, real estate was always an essential business. Real estate never got shut down. So you weren't getting unemployment benefits because the game was still on during the start of COVID. The difference was some of you were not part of the game. Now, you weren't part of the game, some of you, because you were scared and you didn't want to get sick, and that's fine. But some people weren't a part of the game because it was just a reason for them not to be a part of the game. It was creative avoidance. Oh, cool. Well, there's nothing going on. I won't prospect. I won't practice. Real estate is always on. So let's say now, going forward, let's say the market does level off a little bit and prices aren't jumping up as high. Okay, well, you still have to go find buyers and sellers. Well, what if the buyer says they want to wait because they think prices are going to go down? Then go find a new buyer. There's still going to be someone that's going to buy the house. There's still going to be someone that's going to list the house. The game will always be on. Are you a part of the game? Don't worry about the market. Focus on what you can do to go get a deal. And if in your neighborhood nobody's buying or selling, then go to a different neighborhood. The game is always on in real estate. Are you a part of the game? It's the way it goes. We've got to be involved constantly. It is an essential business. It's one of the benefits of living in California. It has been since day one. So there you go. You have to get in the game. Stay in the game. Be in the game. That's how you win. That's how you win. The next thing I wrote down here was service, customer service. I've said this a bunch of times. Mike said this a bunch of times. Neil's said this a bunch of times, but it bears repeating. The amount of money we earn is in direct correlation to the level of service we provide. The amount of money we earn is in direct correlation to the level of service we provide. If you look at people as just a transaction, they will know that you're looking at them as just a transaction, and you will get that transaction and never anything else. And that is a way to be out of the business relatively quickly. Those who last the longest provide the best service because the clients know it's about them. How many times did we hear at the retreat with the blueprint, with Mike, with Ira, with Ron? I think everyone at some point in the retreat said about customer service, make me feel important, MMFI. It's about the client. If you're doing it for the client, if you're in the business for the money, or if you're in the business simply just to treat a transaction for money, you're not going to be in very long. You have to be able to show clients that you want to help them, that it's about them, that it's not about the $15,000. They are aware you're getting paid for your service. But you have to show them, I'm not here for the 15 grand. I'm here because I'm the best in the business and I can help you accomplish what you want to accomplish. And that doesn't just stop at the listing presentation. That goes all the way through the transaction. And then it doesn't stop at the end of the transaction. It goes forever. Monthly phone calls, emails, text, how you doing? What's going on? Who do you know? It's that level of service constantly. This was a great line here. Customer service means you're still polite to the client even after the check clears. It's about the service, and make no mistake, customer service is a form of prospecting. Customer service is a form of prospecting. Because if you're providing service at a really high level, you will get leads. You will have the confidence to call people and ask for leads. Because the truth is, if you provide crappy customer service, are you going to confidently call them and ask them for a friend who wants to buy or sell? No. But when you're providing great service, you know you're providing great service. And then you have that confidence to call them and say, great, yeah, I know, so good. So happy to help you. I'm so glad we got you into that house. I'm so glad we got that home sold for you. By the way, who do you know? But if you don't provide great service, you're not going to make the call. You're either not going to make the call, or you're going to go, oh, well, you know, if you happen to ever possibly know someone that maybe might want to someday, maybe in the next 250 years, think about potentially doing something in real estate. If you want to, feel free to give them my phone number. I'm so sorry for asking. Service. I went and bought a new suit over the weekend, and Nordstrom's was having their anniversary sale, right? So I was like, hey, go get a new suit, because sometimes I just want to buy a new suit. Okay.
It's an $80,000 suit.
It was an $800 suit that was on sale for $600. And I was like, steal. But oh man, they got me there. And I've bought in all kinds of suits. I'm like, I know my size. They're like, yeah, we know you know your size, but let's measure you up. I know my size. And they're like, no, let's measure up. And so I just went, okay, they got me on there. They got me measured up. They got me this. They put the jacket on. They're like, we're going to hem this up. We're going to do all this. Boom, boom, boom. And I feel like a king. I'm just like, this is cool. All I'm doing is buying a $600 suit. The guy next to me was probably spending way more than that. But they made me feel like a king because of the service. And even the lady goes, hey, you know what? Go get him a shirt that's got this, because it was a blue suit. Go get him that shirt. It's got the blue buttons and all these other different things. I know they're selling me on buying this $100 shirt. I'm aware. But the fact is, they were like, because we want to make sure it all matches with this, that. I'm like, so they got me the shirt, all these other different things. They even had shoes for me to wear because I wasn't wearing a suit when I came in. No, let's get you some brown shoes. Which size shoe do you wear? And they have a closet of black, brown, whatever dress shoes of all these different sizes, so you can see how the suit's going to look with the different color shoes. The point is, the service was amazing. So when they called me the next day to thank me for coming in, and then said bye, and they did. The salesperson asked me, if you know of anyone, the sale's still going on for the weekend, that wants a suit, send them my way. I was no problem that they called and asked me for that, because I was like, the service was phenomenal. If you're providing the service, you can confidently call people and ask them referrals, and they will send them to you. If you don't provide that service, if that client had just said, if I said, no, I know my size, and they said, okay, great, and I just went and looked around and went and bought a suit myself, and then they called me just because I purchased, it would never do anything. It's the service. They talked about that a number of times. We talk about it all the time. You have to upgrade your customer service. Have to upgrade your customer service. So what I wrote down here as a homework assignment for you, what are you doing? Do you have an actual plan of what you consider to be great customer service? Because we all say, oh, we provide great service. What do you do? And then after you write it out, figure out what you can do to upgrade it to exceptional service. And if you need some help with that, let me know. I have a list of ideas. All right. But it's about the service you provide. The next thing I wrote down here was attitude and mindset. Attitude and mindset. Now, Mike spent a lot of time on that, and we're not going to spend a whole bunch. We could spend hours, days, weeks on that. But there was a couple really key things that I want to mention about attitude and mindset that I think are really, really important pieces. Okay. And I wrote this down here. You have to maintain some sort of attitude of fun in your day-to-day life of a real estate agent. If you can't figure out how to have some fun, how to break a smile, how to break a laugh throughout the day, you're just never going to make it. You know, or Mike always says the line, you'll never make it out of this world alive. But I heard this 4 or 5 different times throughout the retreat, and it makes a lot of sense. You have to figure out how to break up the day with some fun. Now, a couple ideas that were brought up, we've talked about before, is when you're prospecting, is create a bingo board. And actually, we have one. Mike created one years ago. A bingo board of a variety of different things that can happen when you're prospecting. So you're prospecting, blah, blah, blah. Lady says, remove me from my list, blah, 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 and hangs up the phone. And you look down your bingo board, got her stat. Yeah, X there. I'm not selling, hang up. Hang up before I got my pitch out, check there. Speaks a different language, checks there. Had a 2-minute conversation, check there. Set a lead, check there. Create a bingo board so you can have some fun with it. Okay. Take mindset breaks, 10-minute mindset breaks, where you go and watch YouTube, watch something funny, read something inspirational, meditate for 10 minutes. Have something where you're breaking up the fun. You've got to keep the smile on your face. You guys and gals ask me this all the time. How do you keep the energy and the enthusiasm and your positivity going all the time? Let me tell you something. I have moments I'm not very happy. There are moments in some days where I am not very happy. And typically you'll know because I'll do one of these. I just exit screen left. So you don't see me going sort of a bitch because I have those moments, but you have to have some fun throughout the day. I laugh, things get crazy. I laugh. There are crazy things that go on all the time. And I just laugh about it. And it's like, and people think, well, why is that funny? It's not funny. It's just so crazy that I'm just laughing about it because it's just so insane. We hear that. Go ahead,
Robert. How come Mike said, you know, there's a lot of people that take so seriously what we do here. Is that what we meant? Like we have to like just have fun with a Mike Ferry system and just don't take it.
You have to pick up what you do. You have to have some fun. You have to laugh about some things. You know, and it's hard because prospecting for the most part is not fun. What we do really as real estate agents for the most part is not fun. What we do, what they see on TV is a blast. Oh, they're out showing these multi-million-dollar homes and they're cashing these large paychecks. Yeah, that part's fun. But what we do most of the time is not fun. It's not fun getting on the phone and getting told no all day. It's really not that much fun role playing and practicing. It's not fun, but you have to find some fun in it. You have to laugh about it. When you make a mistake, you laugh about it. I did that with Armin this morning. We were role playing. And I said, when rapid fire role play, and I said the opening line instead of him. So I said, all right, Armin, I'm calling about your rental. And I said the line and Armin just looked at me like, you moron. And I just laughed about it. I was like, I'm sorry. You know, like you're going to make mistakes. It is what it is, but you'd laugh it off. You have some fun with it. It's going to happen. Right. And you just go on with it. But you have to take mindset breaks. You have to be able to read books. You have to be able to watch videos. You have to have a go-to, okay? That you can, if you know that you're in a really bad spot, that you can go to real quick and get a quick smile, get something inspirational. You have to break up the day and have some fun. It's just part of the gig, okay? It's the only way to make it through our business. And it's boring. The repetitious boredom of prospecting, getting told no over and over and over again. So you have to really find some fun. You have to count small wins. As Mike said, play the win game. You know, every time you get a contact, that's a win. He talked about going to a for sale by owner. Going to a for sale by owner is like 10 wins. I drove to the for sale by owner, win. I got out of the car, win. I went to the door, win. I actually said the script, win. I didn't get the listing, but I got 7 or 8 wins. And he said he was trying to get 75 wins a day. Count the small wins. But I wrote down here in terms of you have to alleviate the stress is you can't sweat the small stuff. Internet goes down. Okay. Yesterday, I was having all kinds of internet problems. Throughout the whole day, I was having internet problems. I didn't get mad. I didn't throw my computer. I didn't go, oh my gosh, my day is ruined. I just kept going. All right, yeah. You know what? I'm going to have a couple slowdowns, but I got to keep going. Computers having issues. Technology. Things are crazy. Okay. For those of you that have kids or dogs, sometimes you're not paying attention and you step on things. Hopefully it's just a toy, but sometimes it's not. Okay. Sometimes there's really special things on the ground that you're just walking and you step in. That happens. I don't hit the kids. I don't hit the dogs. It's just part of the gig, right? Don't sweat the small stuff. And most of the day is small stuff. Sweat the big stuff. I've gone on 5 listing appointments and I haven't gotten one. That's a big thing. Figure out how to fix that. Computer being down, your dialer being down, okay? Your phone not getting great service at that very moment. It's small stuff. Don't stress over those things. Too many big things you got to focus on. Okay? I wrote down here, this was one of the biggest things we got out of this retreat, is you have to set bigger goals and you have to have goals. This was brought up a number of times. And I remember David Ernst said something, the level of your life is dependent on the level of the goals you set. Work to get more involved with your yearly business plan, set weekly goals, daily goals, monthly goals. What's your 5-year goal, your 10-year goal? You have to set goals all the time and you have to read your goals. And some of you, we've had this conversation in the last couple of days, have exceeded your goals already for 2021 that you now have to redo the goals. Or some of you have set your 5-year, 1-year, whatever goals, and you've already achieved some of them. So you have to set bigger goals. But goals got brought up a dozen times. The importance of having them and putting together bigger goals, stronger goals. And as Mike said, you have to figure out something that rocks your boat. Okay? Something that excites you. And if it doesn't excite you, you're not going to do any of this work. Because as we've said before, if you don't create the link between prospecting, if you don't know what you're going to exchange the money for, you're not going to do the activities because prospecting sucks. You need to set bigger goals and you need to have goals. You see, most of our problems is not that we set goals too high and don't hit them. Most of our problems is that we set goals too low and hit them. That's part of our bigger problems. So set bigger goals. Think bigger. Be around people that are thinking bigger. And anyone that tells you, and this is straight from Ira, right? Ira Nadich said this, I didn't. So you can't sue me over this. Okay. I'm quoting what he said. He said, if anyone around you gets negative or tells you you can't accomplish your goals, slap them in the face. He said it. I didn't. I'm not promoting anything. But the point is, if you're around people that don't support your big goals, if you're not your big dreams, they're negative, get rid of them. But you have to have bigger goals. You're not going to do the work. So I challenge you to rewrite your goals. Well, Robert, I put my goals down in January. So what? Rewrite them. Maybe it's the same goals. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something different. Some of you need to have bigger goals. Some of you need to, you have different plans in your life. It's all about the goals, man. And you have to read those all the time, keep in front of you all the time, because the only way to fight complacency is to have something to shoot for. And I'll leave you with this because it's 1 o'clock and we didn't get through 30% of what I was going to talk about, but that's part of the gig. The Italian real estate agent that Mike talked about with the blueprint, I'm going to leave you with this last thought, okay, on the goals. She's on track for 280 deals, okay? That's pretty good, okay? It's pretty good. But she said here, the clearer and more desirable the goal is, the more exciting the journey is. This is a journey to financial freedom, to freedom for yourself, your family, whoever. Create the goals, make them clear, make them precise, make them desirable, and then enjoy the journey to reaching those goals by doing all the things that we've talked about. And that's that. All right, everybody. Like I said, that's only about 30 or 40% of some of the main takeaways that I put down there, but you got the gist of it. You got the main things. Again, find your 2 or 3 things that really resonated with you. Write them down, send them to your coach, send them to your accountability partners, your mastermind group, your spouse, your kids, whoever, and say, these are the 2 or 3 things I'm going to implement immediately in my business, and make sure you do those. All right, that's all I got. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening.